This same year 2017, before I left Nick's homestead, Lindsay, our firstborn daughter, had started schooling, and it was her own grandfather who was paying her school fees. When I was asked to find a school for her, my option, I remember, was Lions, Kakamega. But since Nick's dad, his option was Kakamega Hills School, this also became an argument with Nick. As much as I advised Nick that you don't know about tomorrow, let us be able to take her to an affordable school that in case of anything, it is easy for us to adjust. Because to me, Hill School Kakamega was an expensive school. So Nick became rude, commanding me that I should obey his father. I should obey everything that he says. There was no room for them to hear me out. Like, what was dictated is what had to be followed. So when I was about to leave their home, this was some of the issues that were lingering in my mind. I was asking, I am leaving. I'm not able, I have nothing. How will my daughter continue with her education? But despite that, I braved myself and had to move with her. She had to stop her education at Kakamega Hill School, and I had to shift with her. So when I visited Nick's homestead with the area chief, as much as they were familiar, they were never supportive. Even in his requests that Nick should be contacted and give the way forward, everything didn't go that way. But in the end, he was able to call Nick, and he told him everything, that he should come and obey and do what has to be done. But the answer that he got from Nick, a very rude and arrogant answer. Nick told him that, I know you very well, and I'm saying, and I'm talking to you right now, if you know what is good for you, just leave that homestead and go. This was the answer that the chief was given. So later the chief told me, I never knew the rudeness and arrogance that these people have. Even now, just hear what their son is saying, and their parents are just okay. He is an abusive person, but they are defending him. So we had to go with the area chief, having nothing. But we didn't stop from there. With our second move, the Ejinja police station, it is an AP, so we moved there to seek help. So I went with the chief together with my dad. We explained everything, and it was said that I will be given the help and the escort of 2 policemen so that I may be able to go and pick my belongings. But before this happened, the policemen were able to contact Nick and talk to him, but he never changed. He talked rudely to them, arrogantly to them, until these policemen wondered. They were asking, what kind of man is this? He's so arrogant. He doesn't have that fear. So I didn't talk much, I just kept quiet. So around 2 p.m. we set from Ejinja to Ebuchira in the company of 2 policemen. We had 3 motorbikes. Shikuku is a famous motorbike operator in Kakamega. I was familiar with Shikuku, so I was in the company of Shikuku 2 and some 2 other motorbikers. So we went to Nick's place, their homestead, and when I arrived, the only person that was available was Betty. So the policeman asked her where Nick was. She said she doesn't know. About her mother, she said she doesn't know. So I told the policeman that this is the house that we used to live in, although this house was locked from outside. Now that Timothy's room was open, I informed the policeman that there was a wall that separates my sitting room and Timothy's room, and this wall has a door that I can use to enter and pick my belongings. So they said that since Betty is present and they knew this won't be a wall that will prevent everything from happening, because it's like they have done it knowingly. So I entered and the policeman stood outside waiting for me. So when I entered the house, I found that everything of my clothing, everything of Lindsay clothing was just in a mess. They had been taken from the suitcase and it was just in a mess. The clothes were spread everywhere, on the bed, in the sitting room. It was just a mess that I was supposed to just start packing them. So as I sat thinking of what to do, I don't know where Nick was, but just in a flash, he was there in the sitting room. I don't know how or where he came from, but in a flash, he was there in the sitting room. And there he was trying to beg me not to leave. And he carried me in his arms, trying to apologize, trying to change my mind that I should not go. But I told him I am leaving, and he won't prevent me from leaving. So as he was talking to me, suddenly again outside, I heard Nick's mom. She had come, but she had come screaming, and she was screaming at the top of her voice. She was screaming at the top of her voice, saying that these policemen have come to destroy the house of my son. They have come to take my son's wife away. And she was screaming, 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 throwing hands. So this attracted even some other neighbors who came to witness what was happening. So when I saw this, I decided to just go outside because I felt something could happen in my instinct. So I quickly abandoned Nick and ran out of the house. As I ran outside and stood near the veranda, I saw now Nick come. He wasn't apologizing anymore, but he had become violent. He was trying to take hold of me and push me back into the house forcefully. So I tried so much because I held my hand on the grills of the veranda. So he wasn't able to make me go into the house. It's like they had planned that he does that and then they lock me inside the house so that I won't be able to go, like a kidnap. But I held myself on the grill, so he wasn't able to push me back into the house. So the dramas continued. Her mother screaming, 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 and many people had come into their homestead to witness what was happening. So at this point, I had my phone and I was trying to call Lynette. But what happened again is shocked me because Nick snatched my phone and gave it to her younger sister Sophie and gave him instructions saying, take this phone, go keep it. You will give it to Dad. So I was wondering, why did they take my phone? And he says that he will give it to his father. What does his father have to do with my phone? There should be respect. There should be a wall. What were they planning? So they took my phone, and as much as I demanded my phone back, they never gave me. So things got worse and worse. So the policemen were trying to talk to them, but they won't listen. The motorbikes were inside their homestead. So as I witnessed that everything was getting out of control because the policemen had no weapon, they were not armed. The policemen were not armed, and many villagers had gathered into the homestead, the neighboring people. So I saw that Nick's mom had made things out of control. So I started moving towards the gate and I stood there. So the motorbike people that I had gone with were still in the homestead, but even them were not far from the gate. Then I witnessed Nick enter into the veranda of our house, and he came out carrying a jerrycan. I never knew what it was, but when he opened that jerrycan and he poured it on one of the motorbike that I had come with, that's when I knew that it was, I don't know if it was kerosene or petrol, I don't know. But it's like he wanted to light a chome. He wanted to light up that motorbike. So on seeing this, we had to flee and leave the homestead. So I left the homestead without my phone because Nick had taken my phone, gave it to her younger sister Sophie, telling him that take this phone, you will give it to Dad. So I was just wondering, what relationship does Nick's dad have? He has no authority to even handle my phone. My father was very surprised. Even that chief was very surprised. But it never ended there. Now I was advised to go straight to the OCS Kakamega to seek more help. So I went that evening and I reported everything. I went direct to the OCS. Remember that time, I think the OCS was, Somali. I reported everything to him. And he advised me that since it is already late in the evening, because I recorded a statement even of them snatching away my phone. Since it is evening, I was advised to come the following day so that they will help me. So I went and slept over at Pastor Priscilla's place again, because now that they knew I was around, they would still visit Lynette's place because Nick knew Lynette's place. And this is what he did. Because all since that day that I escaped from them, Lynette gave the information that he was spotted, he was seen around that area looking for me. Even at my workplace, he was still rotating around that place, even trying to inquire from the people who knew me where I was. So the next day I woke up and went to Kakamega police station. I was given an OB number and I was given the Mahindra car to help me out. So I set on this journey in the company of 3 policemen. So we reached Nick's homestead. It was around 10. And again, we found Betty alone. So the policemen were talking to her, but she was just replying and saying, no one is around. When I look at the house that we used to live in, it was locked from outside. So again, in a moment, in a flash, Nick's mother appeared. And as always, she started the drama again. Now she was screaming. She was screaming and uttering all kinds of words, lifting her hands up, then letting them come down, hit her thighs, and then, like it had become a routine, doing that and uttering some wicked things. Even she said, my girl, my daughter, you have decided to bring policemen in our homestead. Like I had done a very wrong and awful thing. So as the policemen were talking to her, they were asking her that she should call Nick and let him come and open the door so that I may be able to take my things. And more so, they have to return my phone. So she said that we are supposed to wait for the owner of the homestead to come, meaning Nick's dad. So the policeman just stood. They were looking around the homestead, and they even asked her, is it wrong for us to step in this homestead? Is it wrong? So people had already gathered again, the villagers, neighbors around. Then I saw from afar the double cabin belonging to Nick's dad coming. So we had entered with the Mahindra vehicle into the homestead. So, but when Nick's dad came with his double cabin, what he did, he parked his double cabin at the gate, meaning that his vehicle had become an obstacle at the gate, so that when we wanted to move out, he is the only person who will give way, because he had blocked the entrance, because it is the entrance and it is the exit. So the policeman tried to talk to him to make sense, but he too was furious with rage. In fact, he started saying that if I want my belongings, I am supposed to give him the M-Pesa line plus all the cash that he gave me at the beginning. So I told the policeman, I don't have that M-Pesa because I left it behind. Because at the moment when I was leaving, it's like that business had failed. And I explained it to them. So the policeman told him that was not the issue. We have been sent for a purpose, and that purpose must be accomplished. So him too, Nick's dad, was saying that I had made a very big mistake bringing policemen in their homestead. So the policemen too were asking them, is it bad? Is this a homestead of royalty that even policemen are not supposed to enter the homestead? They asked more questions and said to them, what if now this homestead is under attack? Will you not call the police for help? So why are you saying to this girl that she has made a mistake bringing policemen into the house? So the other funny thing is that when Nick's dad when he arrived and parked his car at the gate, that very moment, the house that we used to live in, the house that was locked from in, was opened. And when it was opened, Nick came from the house, meaning that all this time, since we arrived, he was just inside and he had locked himself inside the house, monitoring everything. And I think he was communicating with their dad. So because when just the dad arrived, is when Nick opened the door. So as much as they tried to prevent it from happening, the policeman told them that they have to do the right thing, give me my clothing and return my phone. So eventually, I had to take my clothing. but I took my clothings under harsh words being uttered both by Nick's mother and Nick's dad. And villagers were all around the homestead, just witnessing what was happening. I remember even Nick's mom was entering our house and saying, Ati, make sure that she doesn't steal your innerwear. Nick dad again saying that take everything, even if you want, take the sofa sets, take even the beddings, take them and go away. We don't want to see you ever in this house. We don't want to ever see you back in this homestead. We don't even want to see you back here with that child of yours. Just go. Those were the things that they were uttering. So as I went in to pack my clothing, they were all scattered everywhere. So I was just picking and stuffing in suitcase, in the Manila bags. I was just stuffing because they were scattered all over. And at some point, it's like Nick was not believing what was happening. So he tried to calm down, persuading me that I should stay. And even he tried to help me to pack the things. But when his father spotted him, he almost slapped him and said to him, leave her, let her do it alone. Let her pack and go. Just leave her. Don't be stupid, let her go. And another thing happened. As I was ferrying my belongings into the Mahindra car and back, Remember, I was heading back to take other clothing. And I just don't know what happened. But in an instant, I was attacked by Nick's mother. She slapped me and she made me sleep down. When I fell down, she laid on me and she started strangling me in broad daylight, in front of the policemen and in front of all the people that were there. Alikuwa ananinyonga mbele ya wale maskari na kila mtu aliyekuwa hapo. She attacked me. Nick's mother, the mother-in-law, she attacked me and slapped me, akanitega nikaanguka na akaanza kunilalia juu akininyonga. So in that process I was struggling with her to get off from her. And Nick's dad, all of a sudden he saw what was happening. He was the one who ran and tried to pull her off, asking her, what are you doing? And in that moment again, I remember I heard Nick's voice behind me. He was asking, unapiga mamangu? So to Nick, I was the one who attacked her mother. But the policeman said this girl has no fault. It is the mother who has attacked her. So this didn't discourage me. So in pain and in great courage, I continued carrying my belongings. But I don't know where I got more strength. The people were just looking at me. All who had assembled there. Into the house, I noticed that some other clothes were missing. My clothing were missing. So I tried to ask Nick where my clothing were. At first he kept quiet. So I insisted, where are my clothing? Again he kept quiet. I insisted more, where are my clothing? So I saw him call his cousin. And what I saw shocked me. He asked his cousin, the house had a ceiling board, and normally at the ceiling board there's that opening that is always left, and this now that opening leads you to the upper side of the ceiling board. Let me say the upper partition of the room that is always separated by the ceiling board. I saw Nick ask his cousin to climb up there. And when he climbed up there, that's the point where my other clothes were being removed. So I was asking, what the hell were my clothes doing up there? But I didn't want to talk much because everything was just shocking. So I just kept silent, took those clothing and packed. So after I had carried my clothing in the hope that the Mahindra car was the one that will help me to ferry these clothing to town, because all this time that I was carrying my clothing, there's a moment that Nick's dad was talking much with those policemen, and I heard some shocking news again. The policeman now told me that they are not the ones who are supposed to carry my clothing. I should have my own means. I should look for my own means to carry those clothing, my luggages. So I had packed into the Mahindra vehicle. So again I started unpacking from the Mahindra vehicle, carrying the clothes again outside the gate, just heaping them outside, my luggages, heaping them outside. So I carried them almost, I was about to finish emptying that Mahindra vehicle. Again, they changed their mind. And I heard one of the policemen say, this man of this homestead is very stupid. I heard one of the policemen say, this man of this homestead is very stupid. We are the ones who came with this girl. We are responsible for her. He can't make us do everything in his own favor. And they asked me again to take those belongings that I had put outside the gate back into the Mahindra vehicle. But during this moment that they had asked me to offload my belongings from the Mahindra vehicle, I had already alerted Lynette and explained everything to her about how Nick's mom attacked me and how they have refused to help me to carry my belongings. So Lynette gave me good news. She said that back in Mabanga, Bungoma, remember I was in Kakamega, my mother was just uneasy, like we call them instincts. So she was just uneasy, and because of this, she decided long ago to come to Kakamega to see me and help me out, because this second day I wasn't with my dad. So I explained everything to her, and she said that mother is on the way and she's coming with a taxi, so I should not worry. So that is how eventually I managed to get my things, to get back my phone, and I carried my belongings from Nick's homestead. So as we were leaving, even Nick's dad was still reluctant to give way now that he had packed his double cabin. But he had to give way. So as we were leaving the homestead, one of the policemen asked me, I just wanted to ask, I want to ask you a question. You girls of nowadays, munolewanga kwa maboma gani? Boma gani hii uliolewa ndani? So this askari was asking me, what kind of homestead did you get married into? This is a complicated homestead. The people behave as if they are illiterate. They are arrogant. So I never answered them. I just smiled. So on our way from Nick's homestead, as the Mahindra vehicle left, Nick's dad also followed us from behind. And on our way, luckily, just some few distance from their homestead, we met my mother with the taxi. So the vehicle had to stop and everything I had to offload into the taxi. So we blocked the way. Even Nick's dad will not pass until we finish our business. So at this moment, Nick's dad tried to talk to my mother, but my mother gave him a deaf ear. He was trying to tell my mother that they have done something bad, but my mother was very, very angry, and she never even replied anything back to him. So that is how I finally came from their homestead and went with my mother. And this journey we went to Mabanga, from Kakamega direct to Mabanga with everything of my belonging. So this same night, my mother received a call from Lynette, and she was told that God has revealed something else to pastors, that those clothes of mine, I should not wear any of them until they have come for prayers, because using the clothes that I left, my clothes, they have done rituals using my clothing, bad, dark rituals. So I am not supposed to wear those clothings, or I will stay in torment, and I may even get mad. So in the morning, I woke up and just prepared. Pastors came during the daytime. They even came with Lynette. We held prayers, and they instructed me that what God has revealed to them that I must do with those clothings before I wear them, I should wash them with anointing oil, dry them up, and then pack them without wearing until 1 month is over, because they have done rituals so that I don't have any luck in everything that I will do from that time. That even just getting a job, I should not get. That's why sometimes you hear some people say that when I wear this cloth, I have luck, but when I wear this other cloth, I don't have any luck. It is just problems, problems, and problems. So that is the kind of thing they had done to my clothings, so that I don't have any luck, any prosperity in anything that I will do from that time. They associated it with rituals and their idols. And this anointing oil, It was just simple. There is this bottle, I've forgotten the name. It is normally sold in the supermarket. I've forgotten the name of that bottle, the name of it, but it always appear like you may think it's like cooking oil. I've forgotten the name, but I will remember the name and I will tell you. This is what was being used as anointing oil. You buy from the supermarket, and then they prayed for it, and I was given. I even applied to myself and even the child. And I was taken through repentance. So everything they never did as per their own mind, but per the guidance of the Lord Almighty. So again, after we left Kakamega, Nick's dad met my brother-in-law, the husband to Lynette, my sister. And he told him to come and deliver this message to us. He said that Augustine should come and tell us that we are very stupid. And he has lots of money. He has lots of cash. That even a million is not big money for him, that will help him open a case for me, a case that will never end. That was the message that he told my brother-in-law Augustine to come and tell us. So Augustine told Lynette, and Lynette delivered that message to us. To this date, this message, it has never gotten off from my dad. That was the kind of life that I lived in the name of marriage. And remember, even not a single dowry, even not a single shilling has been paid. But look at the life that I was living. And more so, this is the time that some light was shed unto me, because it's like I was blinded. I was even told that I was made to eat the forbidden secretly, food that has been dedicated to their idols. And I was told that until the time that I had accepted their idols, to inherit their idols, this is the time that I will have been given permission to cook on my own. That's why I was not allowed to cook on my own in my house. So many people are living under the same or much less or much more the experience that I had in the name of marriage. They have been blinded by secret rituals done to them, been entered into dark covenants, because of they have been married to homesteads that have their own idols. So they are living under slavery. Even if they want to move away, they don't have that strength because they are being monitored by the evil spirits of the idols. They are under spiritual slavery. They can't completely. They are suffering. They are worn out. But they are not able to move because they have been tied under dark covenants. Because I myself, now that many people are suffering. If you are in a relationship in the name of marriage and there is no productivity, there is stagnation, you are not at peace. Pray so much so that God reveals it to you, because many people, I tell you, many people are in slavery in the name of marriage, under secret dark covenants in the name of marriage. They even cook the forbidden to you. They even cook chameleons and make people eat, so that they are trapped more. They will never think to leave, even when they want to leave. And in my situation, now that I wasn't accepting to inherit their idols, I was in opposition with them, spiritual opposition, like light and dark were fighting. They knew that I will never accept those, and even their own idols, their own dark spirits. They knew that I will never accept them. So we were not in one covenant. So with those dark spirits, knowing that, they used to fight me away through Nick, through everyone in the family. And since I was not to accept, it was either I come out alive, dead, alive or dead. And if I come out alive, they always destroy a person. They always destroy a person. How do they destroy a person? Sometimes many end up being mad. Sometimes many end up like their memory has been lost. They do the witchcraft, they do the bad, so that a person, as much as they leave them, they are not able to go out and share the secret to any other person. So they destroy a person so that that person should not be able to talk. So I was either to be given as a secret sacrifice, and if I go out alive, I become mad and stay still under their captivity, although I'm far away. The other thing that I realized while staying in the homestead, this I heard from Nick's mother herself. She said that she was married at a very young age. She had Nick, her firstborn, when she was only 16 years. And if all her children were alive, she will have 8 children. but now they are 5. 3 died, and all these 3 died at a younger age. One before being born, and like the other at the time of birth, I think. And all these 3 children that died were in between Nick and Betty. So, the bone of graves are so many. And what I realized again, you are glued to cook from one fireplace, one fire point. And this same fireplace, fire point, it is the same place that witchcraft is always done. There are some ritualic medicines that sometimes they pour at the fireplace, and you will be instructed to go and light that fire. So when you go directly and light that fire without gathering the ashes that you found at that place and throw them away, so you will light the fire. Whatever ritualic medicine they poured in that fireplace, it will start burning. And when it starts burning, you will inhale that smoke. And remember, it is a ritualic medicine. This ritualic medicine is meant to chase someone from her marriage. You may find someone just waking up from that point, gets into the house, packs her things and leaves forever without alerting anyone. These things has always been done. The witchcraft has always been done. Or sometimes they secretly pour the ritualic medicine on the parts that you use, even at the doorstep of the house that you live in. So when you come in, you jump over that medicine. When you go out, you jump over that medicine. And you may find that conflicts will never end. Arguments will never end. So, witchcraft is there. It is real. And many people are trapped into slavery. Dark covenants in the name of marriage. Some even crush millipedes and mix with the oil that you use. They are able to crush them fine, or they just sprinkle even in the water that you use. So you end up blinded. Even if you suffer to the point of death, you will never be able to live because you have been chained. And kids that are dedicated to these dark altars, the ritualic homestead families, that kids have been made secret as heirs. You find these kids that even when you travel to your home or any other place, as long as you have left that homestead, you find that kid from nowhere, he starts being sick. Others will even faint. But when you return and just reach that homestead, the child is much alive. This is witchcraft. The child was already made a heir secretly. We have the habit that when a child is born, you have to take children to the mother-in-law to the in-laws family so that the child is shaved. This is the point where many children have been trapped into dark covenants. They have been made heirs of witchcrafts of their grandparents. So, be able to know, relate it to your life, and pray much, pray harder. And cleanse yourself, be redeemed from these dark covenants. Because the Lord wants to pour out His own Spirit, and He can't pour His own Spirit if you are under dark covenant. You have to have the mark of the Lord, the pure mark of the Lord Almighty. So don't just listen to my stories, my experience. They have purpose. They have born of graves. And I'm still continuing with my story because everything was ordained. As the bride of the Lord, I had to go through all these things for purpose. To shed a light into people so that they no longer stay in darkness but have the light of the Lord. It is judgment and resurrection time, where everything is being made known, every bone of grave, the deepest secrets being made known. So, watch, pray. Watch, pray. I'll continue with my story and more of the bone of graves. So they wanted to make me their secret sacrifice. But because even though in torment, I had the light of the Lord Almighty. Even though I was being blinded, being made a fool, but I had the light of the Lord Almighty. That's why it's written in John 1:5. Darkness has never overcome light, because I had the light of the Lord Almighty. And this is what preserved me. He remains a true God. He never leaves his people. He is there to expose the truth. And all glory, honor belongs to the Lord Almighty, the one God who made the heavens and earth. Be blessed and most so. Heal. Heal, heal, heal. Cut the cords of the dark covenants and have the mark of the Lord that will make you a heir to the heavenly kingdom.